Trauma as Energy Infrastructure in Occult Families. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Occult Families, How to Spot Them series. Trigger warning. This video series covers disturbing and very serious topics. Full legal disclaimer in the video description below. In the architecture of generational SRA, trauma is not merely a side effect, it is the infrastructure. Pain, terror, humiliation, and fragmentation serve as the scaffolding upon which spiritual contracts are built and energy is harvested. Pain becomes currency in the ritual system. Just as money moves resources in the physical world, pain moves energy in the spiritual one. This emotional currency is used to fund rituals, open portals, power manifestations, or bind victims to roles they never consciously chose. The more charged the emotional experience, fear, grief, betrayal, the more energetically potent it becomes. The mechanism behind this is fragmentation. When a child endures repeated or extreme trauma, their consciousness splits into parts, commonly referred to as alters. Each alter is a compartmentalized fragment of the self, often unaware of the others. In ritual systems, these fragments are not accidental. They are engineered. Each alter can be trained for a different task, one for obedience, one for seduction, one for pain absorption, one for silence. This internal fragmentation allows the family to maintain control of the victim while appearing to the outside world as if nothing is wrong. Dissociation becomes the gateway to programming. When the core self vacates the body to avoid unbearable pain, it leaves the energetic field vulnerable to outside imprinting. This is where ritual words, symbols, or contracts are embedded. In many cases, these imprints form the foundation of a programmed life path, a course of events scripted to ensure the child fulfills the family's spiritual objectives, not their own. A programmed path may include patterns like repeated sexual trauma, failure at key life transitions, inability to form healthy bonds, or compulsion to return to the abuser. These outcomes are not accidents. They are engineered results of spiritual conditioning installed through pain. Once trauma has been ritualized, the victim's energy becomes part of the infrastructure of the family system. Their pain becomes fuel. Their silence becomes insulation. Their altered identity becomes a tool. And until the underlying code is dismantled, not just the memory but the structure, the system remains active, even in the absence of physical contact. To break free, survivors must not only grieve the trauma but also locate and revoke the energy agreements made through that trauma. Because pain that was weaponized can be reclaimed. And once the currency is withdrawn, the system can no longer operate. Role assignment through abuse. In generational SRA systems, ritual abuse is not just an act of harm, it is an installation process. Every traumatic experience becomes a programming point designed to assign a specific role to the survivor. These roles are not symbolic. They are functional positions within the energetic infrastructure of the family. Once installed, they shape behavior, perception, relationships, and even spiritual access. Ritual roles. Ritual families often divide members, especially children, into archetypal positions such as the scapegoat, the one blamed, punished, or shunned. Their energy is used as a spiritual dump site for the family's guilt or chaos. The golden child, or heir, often groomed to carry on the family legacy, may receive preferential treatment but remains controlled through pressure and silent contracts. The healer, tasked with absorbing pain or maintaining spiritual order, often targeted in adulthood by family members in crisis. The vessel, used sexually or energetically to carry entities, energetic codes, or ritual power. The twin or mirror, psychologically or spiritually fused with another sibling or handler for control through emotional entanglement. These roles are not assigned with words. They are installed through trauma. The child is conditioned, repeatedly and strategically, to associate safety with submission, identity with service, and self-worth with how well they perform the role. How abuse installs identity. This role assignment happens through what psychologists might call trauma bonding. But in occult systems, it is far more engineered. Each traumatic event functions as a spiritual instruction. A child repeatedly punished for telling the truth may become the silent one, trained to disassociate and never speak. A child forced to heal others while no one heals them becomes the family healer, programmed to self-abandon. A child glamorized for physical beauty and ritually used becomes the vessel, falsely identifying self-worth with objectification. In these systems, abuse is identity formation. The repeated exposure to specific types of trauma forges a behavioral script the child internalizes as their own nature. In reality, it is a mask built for control. Signs of a ritual role. Many survivors reach adulthood with mysterious patterns they cannot explain. Feeling responsible for everyone's emotions. Attracting narcissists or abusers in every relationship. Inability to succeed at life milestones without sabotage. Relentless guilt or shame for asserting independence. These are not random dysfunctions. They are emotional collapses engineered to keep the role intact. When a survivor tries to break free, leave the family, speak up, change careers, they may experience sudden panic, sabotage, or physical illness. These symptoms are not weakness. They are contract activations, coded emotional collapses designed to prevent deviation from the assigned path. Life derailments as ritual maintenance. Many survivors report eerie patterns, being pulled back into the family system just as they begin to heal. Sudden car crashes before spiritual breakthroughs. Suicidal thoughts on ritual anniversaries. Breakups during acts of self-empowerment. These are often signs that a programmed role is reasserting itself. In occult systems, energy is maintained through predictable collapse. If a vessel begins to reclaim bodily autonomy, their trauma script may trigger a health crisis. If a scapegoat tries to find love, sabotage may activate through a trauma bond. These derailments are not personal failures. They are signs that an external code is still running in the system. Reclaiming role sovereignty. To dismantle these roles, survivors must name the identity that was assigned and recognize it as an installation, not essence. Begin by asking, what role did I perform in the family system? What trauma trained me to accept that role? What collapses occur when I try to leave that role? From there, the spiritual work begins. Revoke the contract, clear the trauma bond, and replace the assigned role with a chosen identity. Because healing is not just emotional, it is structural. And until the false role is dissolved, the real self remains trapped beneath a mask built by trauma. You were not born a scapegoat, a vessel, or a healer. You were made into one through design, and that design can be undone. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start: the black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation in leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.